All right, we are recording. Okay, welcome back to another interview here in the Confident Women's community. Today, I have the lovely Carrie Sprenzy here with me, and she's
Hello.
here to talk about all of her stuff. She is a fellow coach, someone I know. I think she's wonderful, and she's got a great message and a great story. And I'm just going to let her take it away. Carrie, go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell us
Ah,
a little bit about you.
well, thanks, Julie, for having me. It's been so fun to be part of our coaching pod together, and just love what you're doing in bringing back confidence to women and teaching them how to regain their confidence. And I'm sort of on the same plane as you in that, I believe that when you feel good, you look good, not just about like you look good from the inside out because your soul is alive, you're lit up, so then your eyes sparkle, your skin glows, like your smile is bright, the energy coming out is coming from within, and that just boosts your confidence. And I know that for myself, for me, some of the things that make me feel confident and make me feel good on the inside is moving my body every day and living this life of JOMO
Oh,
talk about, right?
what's
So
JOMO?
JOMO, yeah. So JOMO for you and most people, JOMO traditionally stands for the joy of missing out, right? It sort of was this antidote to FOMO, the fear of missing out, which
Mm.
I will say, hello, I am a FOMO junkie for sure. I am an extreme extrovert. I'm just like yes, 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 yes to everything, which on the one hand is really great. But for someone like me, the downfall is I say yes to too many things, then I get overextended, I run into burnout, I get overwhelmed, frustrated, I just burn my candle at both ends because I don't want to miss out on anything, right? And so I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, which we can talk about, we can come back to this, but JOMO for me, the joy of missing out, when I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer about 3 years ago, when I
Ooh.
was 41, or right before I turned 41, my girlfriend was living, my best friend was living with me at the time. And she and I are like the yin yang. I'm this FOMO junkie, this extreme extrovert, and she is a very big introvert. Her favorite word is no. Like she's just like, no, that's not my preference. No, I don't want to do that. Right. And so we used to joke that she helped me say no to more things and I helped her say yes to more things,
Oh,
right?
what a
So
great partner.
yeah, so one of the things that came about is when I was struggling with and battling cancer, is we were talking about this, and she was like, well, maybe this is the time for you to really embrace JOMO. And I was thinking about it, and I said, for me and my personality, that just does not work. It feels like I'm surrendering, like I'm raising the white flag. I give up. Okay, fine. I'll try to find the joy in having to say no to things. Like it just kind of felt like it played into that whole I'm a sick person narrative, like,
Mm.
oh, I can't do that because I'm sick. Oh, I can't do that because this. No, I can't because, and I just was like, no, 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 no. Yes, cancer is happening and it super sucks. And it, yeah, it's really hard, but it's just this one thing that's happening in my life. It doesn't define the whole rest of my life.
Amen.
It's just one thing that's going on. And so for me, I changed JOMO to be the joy of moving on.
Oh,
And it's like where, yeah, cancer is real shitty. And there were some really magical, wonderful, incredible things that happened because of cancer. And they helped me be grateful for it, for cancer, and to move past it. Rather, and when it's happening in the moment, that's harder, right? But looking back, I can say with 100%, I would never wish cancer, particularly colon cancer, on my worst enemy. I never want to do it again, but I would not change it.
oh,
If someone came down right now and said, listen, we can put your body back the way it was, we can get rid of that whole cancer experience, I'd be like, no, I'm okay. I'll keep it. Don't want to
oh.
do it again, but I'll keep it.
Wow, that is so
Yeah.
powerful. God, that is a great, I love, it's just like that little shift in perspective around just changing the meaning of a couple of words in JOMO. It just, I mean, when you said that, it feels so much lighter. It feels so much more like a hell yeah. You know what I mean? Like that feeling like,
Yeah.
yeah, that feels so much more powerful, empowering even to look at it that way. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's been my mantra, JOMO,
Hmm.
like the joy of moving on. So life, my cancer was colon cancer. I had a colostomy bag and all of those kinds of things. And so I kind of say JOMO, it's my antidote or my remedy for when life hits the fan, because
Can,
life does hit the fan,
can I just have you really fast stand up and show that shirt that
Oh,
I
sure.
so want?
Let
Yes.
that shit go. Yes,
That is
let
so
that shit
awesome.
go.
I'm buying
Yeah,
that.
and
I'm gonna get that. I'm getting that. I'm getting that.
yeah, I'll tell you where you can get it. But yeah, I mean it's kind of, that type of thing is my mantra. It's just like shit happens, life happens, it hits the fan. I mean, I have experienced it all. I became a mother at 18. I married my high school boyfriend, baby daddy. By the time I was 21, we were divorced.
Ooh.
I put myself through college as a single mom without any child support or anything from him, because he was 18 as well. I mean, we were young. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. I was just, if my child stayed alive and fed and clean mostly for that day, I felt like a champion. It was
Right,
just like
winning.
I had no idea what I was doing as a young kid. And he was off trying to figure out who he was as well. So I've done the single mom thing. I've been divorced twice. I've lost two people. My favorite uncle, who was like an older brother to me, and my son's father, both to suicide.
Ugh.
I've watched and supported my mother going through breast cancer. It's come back. My father just recently had a heart attack. I've
Oh,
battled stage 4 colon cancer. I mean, it is just like the list, right? The list can be crazy. And if I just focused on that list, it'd be hard to get out of bed every day. It'd be hard to put myself out there. It's, I mean, that's depression, right? All of those things come out of that. But for me, all of those experiences, they have created who I am.
mm.
And yes, they were ridiculously hard, sometimes unfair, often felt unfair how hard they were, right? The struggling and the wishing for things to be different and the wondering when it's going to end. And yeah, like I said, the unfairness of it was really hard when it was going.
Let me
But this,
ask.
yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead. I was
Well, I
just
was
gonna
just going to
say.
say that this, yeah, idea of JOMO for me is what allows me to say, okay, like I said at the beginning, compartmentalize it and say, okay, this is happening, but this isn't all that's happening. There's all of these other things in my life, these other aspects of my life that are going on as well. And so how can I find joy in these other things to help make this big hard thing that's going on right now a little bit easier?
Now, is this something that you've been doing for years, or did you have a point in your life? Like, I mean, what was like the turning point? I mean, I know you said when you had the stage 4 cancer, you were sitting at that, you got the idea of the joy of moving on, sitting with your roommate right then and
Mm-hmm.
there. But it seems as though you've had this sense of resiliency really your whole life without ever really recognizing that that's what it is. I mean, where do you think that came from? I mean, how, I mean, it's like, I know we all listen to stories of people who come back from these things. It's like, but how do you do it? I mean, how do you actually do it? How do you, what is, do
Yeah.
you have any kind of, I mean, I've often thought about my own process of how I, move through things too, but I mean, what works for you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And you're right. I think I think I definitely was one of those people that was sort of born with this innate glass half full attitude.
Hmm.
That's not to say I'm not, that's not, that's not all day, every day that I'm like that. We all have our moments, but I would say generally my sort of go-to is to see the glass half full. And, I think some of that just comes from my father. He's very much like that, just singing songs all the time and being silly and goofing around and all of that kind of stuff. But, for me, I think what really has been the most helpful for me to continue to move on is to focus on the things that I can control, right? Or the things that I do have sort of an influence in. And for me, that has always been movement. So moving my body every day is so important to me. And during my cancer battle, there were times when, the FOLFOX chemo that I was getting made me extremely sensitive to cold. Like even room temperature water was like drinking glass. Putting my hands into the refrigerator to just grab something out was like I was putting my hand into dry ice. It was crazy. And of course, this is January in Utah, so it is snow and all of this stuff. And when my father and I would go for walks around the park near our house, I would literally be bundled, like with only my eyes showing. So it would just be so cold. But even when those times were it, or I would be really tired because of the chemo or whatever, I still every day would get up and move. Sometimes it was just one lap around the park and then I was back inside. Other times I would go to yoga. And if I was having chemo, I would have because with the colon cancer, the chemotherapy is a 3-day situation. You sit in the infusion bay for like 4 or 5 hours at the hospital and get it in. And then you leave with a tube coming out of your IV or your port. I'm pointing here because I had a port put in. And so then there was a tube coming out of my chest to a little machine that I wore like a fanny pack that for then the next 48 hours just pumped chemicals into me. And as I'm telling you this, I can actually taste it again. So for any of your people in your group who have had chemo, as I'm talking, I'm sorry if this is triggering it to you, I can actually taste it as I'm telling you about it. It's so bizarre how it comes back. But even when that was going on, I would go to yoga and just sit in my mat in the back, just to be in the space and feel the energy and do the moves that I could do, or just sit in child's pose and listen to the instructor talk and just be a part of that community. So for me, moving, I just feel like it helps shift and move the energy around. And if without moving, everything just kind of seems to get so stuck. And so that's been huge for me to do that. The other thing that's been huge for me is to get out in nature. I grew up in Utah, and Utah is so beautiful with its nature. I currently live in Amsterdam, also beautiful, different nature, but also beautiful. And even here, getting outside, being in the trees, feeling the air on your face, the rain, the snow, the wind, the dirt, smelling the dirt, seeing the trees, listening to the birds, the animals, the flowers, all of that. It reminds me again that there's so much more that's going on than just this. It just helps me expand my view, expand my focus. Sorry, I can't find my words at this moment, but expand my view away from this one thing, because you can get so tunnel vision onto this one hard thing or this one super shitty thing that's going on in your life, and then it's hard for you to see the other things going on. And so for me, getting out in nature was and still is huge for me.
Wow. Yeah, both of those things totally resonate for me too. I mean, I am a huge proponent of, movement, move your body, whatever that is. And it's like, it just, for me, it makes me feel alive. But I love what you just said about going out in nature. And I never thought about it that way, but it absolutely rings true for me too. It's like being here, where I live in, Palm Springs area, California, going out and hiking around here. It's like there's mountains that are covered with snow in the background with palm tree. And it's just so beautiful. And it's just like the air, hearing my feet hit the dirt. It's like you feel, I mean, I know in some ways it makes me feel small, but in a good way, like I'm a part of this whole I'm a part of all of this and I'm just this part of
Right.
it. And then that one thing in my life is even a smaller part of this big thing. So wow, I love that. That's a great
Yeah.
way of looking at life and using that as your go-to to get your focus off of the stuff that isn't working, and really,
Yeah.
that's the thing too. It's like, because we can only control, our thoughts, right? And ourselves. We can't control anyone
Mhm.
around us. We can't control
Mm-mm.
the weather. We can't control,
That's right.
but it's like, yeah, no, I completely resonate with everything that you just said. Now, do you feel like now, because you seem like you're in a better place, from
Yeah.
where you were at for all those years. And
Yeah.
now you don't really have any of the struggles. I mean, everybody has struggles, but now, I mean, you're carrying those same things into your life now, even though you're not struggling with things. Is that not true? I mean, you're still going to the movement every day and nature every
Mhm.
day, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, they've just have become kind of part of who I am. So,
Yeah,
I get up every day. I brush my teeth twice a day, sometimes more, but
me
at
too.
least twice a day. And I move my body every day. Sometimes it is extreme and hard and crazy, like a CrossFit class, and other times it's a yin yoga class. And it really just depends on how I'm feeling and what I'm needing that day. If I'm feeling, it just really depends. Sometimes I can be feeling really stressed, super overwhelmed, or even really worried about something in particular. And that for me is when I need to go hard and do like a CrossFit class. Like I mean, I remember when I was going through my first divorce from my son's father, I was so, I was so mad about the whole thing. Um, he, he basically left me for my
Oh,
first cousin, and they were together, and that was hard. And I'm 19. So first of all, I had been raised in a Mormon household, and so in a very religious household, you don't have sex before you're married, and marriage is forever, like many religions, right? That's
right.
not unique to the Mormon culture. But so here I am, 19. I got pregnant from my boyfriend, who then who then became my husband. Then I'm getting divorced, and he's with my cousin, and I'm 19, and I'm just like losing my mind. Like who am I? What in the actual fuck is happening in my life right now? And I remember I would go to these kickboxing classes at the local gym because I was so mad
Yeah.
and just like had so much up inside that I had to get it out somehow. So I would go to these kickboxing classes, and the instructor would be like, "Yeah, like this girl in front," and I was like, "If you had any idea who I was beating the holy living shit out of right now, you might not use me as an example." But it was just, for me, it was a way to just get all of that energy out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and to your point, I mean, I really believe that it's so important because it's like those big emotions that we have that come up when, whether, I mean, it could be from anything. I mean, there's so many situations in life where big emotions can come up, and and however you feel, give yourself permission to feel however you feel. And certainly rather than just stuffing that emotion, which is what
Yeah,
so many people do, especially women, stuff their emotions
yeah,
so often that those become, I really believe they become the disease in our bodies, right? That show up. The more you
absolutely,
keep stuffing it, whether it's, showing up as a disease or weight around your midsection or your butt. I mean, just, it's so important to have an outlet to be able to just be like,
absolutely.
oh, and I love those kickbacks. It's so true. I mean, I can tell you how many
Totally.
times I've been in my car. I always think nobody can hear me in my car, but you pulled up next to somebody who's talking on their phone. You're like, Jesus, turn the fucking the volume down, right?
Yeah,
But I mean, I've been in
right.
my car thinking nobody can hear me and just be like, ah, just screaming to get out
Absolutely.
some of my anger and
Absolutely.
frustration. That, I mean, I think it's so important to do that. Wow, great.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I've done lots of scream therapy, I guess, if you could call it that. Like lots of screaming in the forest and in the desert, and just into my pillow, all of that kind of stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you this, because I know everyone's probably interested. It's like, so who do you work with? I mean, what do you do with as a coach? I know what you do, but I'd like you to share
Yeah.
with my group. It's like who you work with and what you do as a coach and what you're passionate about as far as, working with your clients.
Yeah, so I'm really passionate about teaching people how to be more resilient and how to really kind of like combat overwhelm, right? Because so much of I really believe that resiliency is, if you are resilient and you have grit, right? That's another word that's often thrown around for resiliency. But people who are gritty and resilient, they have figured out a way that works for them to recognize the gremlins and the limiting beliefs when they pop up. Those voices that are like, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? It's never going to work. All of that crap that comes up when we want to do something new, when we want to try a new relationship, we want to get a different job, we want to perhaps go back to school, we want to lose weight, we want to make a connection with our husband, we want to make a connection with our kids, whatever the thing is that we're doing in our life. People who are resilient and who have grit and who can bounce back when life does in fact hit the fan are the ones that can recognize that, can say, thank you, I see you, and I'm not going to listen to you. That is not true. That is baggage that my mom, my dad, my boyfriend, an ex-husband, high school friends, whatever, put in my basket. Like we talk a lot about baggage.
Yeah.
You could think of it like a basket where as you go through life, people just put shit in your basket.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're like this.
Here everything's out of whack because you're carrying this heavy basket around, which a bunch of crap that isn't even yours. And so I work with people who want to unpack that, who want to be more resilient, who want to find their joy of moving on, who want to be happier in life and want to be brave to go out and get the life they want, whatever that looks like to them. And I help them look at each little item in their basket and unpack it and either get rid of it, restructure it, reduce, reuse, recycle, whatever, we get rid of it, we turn it into something powerful, we find the powerful bits in the story so that instead of looking back and being like, that divorce changed my life. Yeah, it did, because it gave you the freedom to do all of this stuff. Instead of like the divorce, you could go either way from any of these things that happen. And so I teach people how to take the setbacks that they have in their life and turn them into springboards so that they can use it and see it as a powerful turning point where they're like, that moment in my life changed everything for the better.
Oh, I love that. Turning setbacks into springboards. Oh, you should put that on a t-shirt.
That'll be next to the let that shit go.
Right? It goes together. Wow, I really love that. That's a powerful message and such a needed thing to help people through that, because it's so easy, like you said before, to let the things that put us, set us back, let the things that set us back just and stay stuck there and just be like, oh, poor me, and oh, why did this happen to me? And I'm a huge fan of the saying that I'm sure you heard it, but it's like, things aren't happening to me, they're happening for me. I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, I've gone through a divorce. I mean, I have a lot of guilt. I had a lot of guilt and shame around that for many, many years. Like my parents were married for 44 years before my dad passed away. And I was like, for such a long time, I'm like, why can't I do that? What's wrong with me? That I can't keep a marriage together. I mean, I cheated on my husband. It was just like, who am I? I mean, I had a lot of those experiences myself where it's like, what am I? I'm not a good part. I'm not trustworthy. It's like, what the hell? What's going on with me? And for me, that was kind of one of my biggest turning points in my life where I had to just look around and go, what the hell? How did I get here? What's going on with me? This isn't who I am. So I love that. I love Yeah, setbacks into springboards. Well, I know that you've got some really fun programs that you're putting together. I would love for you to share what you've got coming down the pipe that maybe some of the ladies in my group would, well, I know they're going to want to check you out and follow you and know all about
Yeah.
you. But tell me what you've got coming. I know you're in the middle of something right now. You can even mention that, but whatever else you've got coming, please share.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so at the moment I'm in the middle of this what I'm calling my morning JOMO challenge. And the idea is to create a habit of putting movement in every day. And if you're not already someone who moves every day, that movement is not already a habit of yours, then a really easy way to create or build this habit, and that's not just for movement, for any new habit that you want to develop, a really great way to do that is to hook it onto something that you're already doing. So like I already mentioned that I brush my teeth twice a day. I don't need an alert on my phone. Nobody needs to remind me to brush my teeth anymore. I'm nearly 45. I got this. I will do morning and night at least. I know, thank God. Exactly. So nobody needs to remind me for that. And honestly, I'm a coffee drinker, so my morning cup of coffee is the same. Like I don't need a reminder. I need a reminder on my phone to drink water, and I have one of those. Every 45 minutes it pops up, drink water. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, drink water. I don't need one of those for my morning cup of coffee, my morning cup of Joe. Yes, exactly. So this morning JOMO challenge is about for 7 days, and we're in day 4 at this moment, at the time that we're having this conversation. The idea is that while your morning cup of coffee or tea is brewing or your smoothie is blending, you do some movement. So you do some countertop push-ups, or you do some squats or some lunges or whatever. And for like 3 to 7 minutes, depending on how fast your blender and teapot and all of that stuff are, you're getting some movement in.
I love
and like,
that.
boom, done, right? And so that's going on right now, and you can join that on my website or from my social media channels, and I can give you that information, or we can put it in.
Yeah, I'll put it in
the
notes
group with this.
For sure.
So that's happening right now. And then the other thing that I'm gearing up to begin is the next round of my program called Evolution. And it's going to start in April, and it's a 12-week program where we look at your mood, the way you move, and your food, because I believe that all 3 of those components contribute to overall health. So if I know for myself that if I wake up and I'm like, wow, I just feel like such a slug. I feel I have no energy. Like I'm super stressed. I feel like my jaws, like I just feel off, right? And you're just like, oh God, why? My jaw's been clenched for like 3 days. What am I so stressed about, right?
Right.
If I stop and look back, it's because something's off. Either I haven't been moving every day, or I've been eating really crappy vacation, holiday, not so good for you foods, right? Or I have been, like I said, like zoomed in, focused on this one thing that's really bugging me, and I haven't been out looking at this bigger view. And so through Evolution, through these 12 weeks, we look at those 3 components every single week. But every week with mood, we'll do like a different meditation. We'll do some journaling to unpack the baggage in that basket. With the move, every week there are new workouts, yoga, cross training, bar, all kinds of different workouts. We look at steps, we look at just different ways to move, and all in the idea to encourage you to find something that works for you.
Yeah.
If salsa dancing is your thing, great, go do that. Like I'm not telling anyone that you have to run. There's no running, there's no anything that you don't like doing. It's just a matter of finding the movement that works for you so that you move your body every day. So I introduced you to a whole bunch of different types of movement. And then every week there's a new menu. So the first 3 weeks of the program, we do a cleanse, really just to reset your system so that as we slowly add foods back in, you can suddenly go, oh my God, I had no idea that dairy made me feel so congested and made my skin break out. I just thought that this was because it's dry and I live in Utah, or because I've always just had this. Oh no, actually you haven't always just had that. It's a function of what you're eating. And so the food component of it helps you discover that, so that again, it's not a diet, It's more just helping you understand how different foods make you feel so that you can eat the food that makes you feel amazing. And that is
Oh, I love
something,
that.
all of this is stuff that I've learned over these years, but in particular with the food stuff, that is a result of the cancer. Because with colon cancer and having had a colostomy and an ileostomy,
What is an
I learned,
ileostomy? I don't know what that is.
so a colostomy is your large intestine.
I
So
knew
where your
that one.
large intestine is coming out, right? So you have like solid formed stool, and an ileostomy is your small intestine. So it's
Oh,
essentially diarrhea all the time
oh,
in a bag.
wow. Okay.
And there's different eating with both of them. And I had a front row seat to everything that I was eating, and something I was like, wow, okay, good to know. Our body does not process that. So why am I eating that? I have no
Wow.
idea, because
I
my
mean, look
body's
at,
not.
talk about finding the silver lining in a bag of shit. I mean, really.
Well,
I mean, literally and figuratively.
yeah,
I mean, you learn so much about your body by going through
totally,
that process. I love that you've
totally.
incorporated that kind of a process in your evolution program, because I think it's one thing to know that it's a good idea to learn about what works for your body. It's a whole other thing to actually do it. And when you get
Right.
into a program like that and you invest in
Yeah.
yourself and you say, okay, I'm going to do this, then you actually take the time to focus on what works and doesn't work for your body, which is something that everybody here knows. I talk about that all the time. It's like, and what works for my body may not work for your body or her body or
Exactly.
her body. It's like, you've got to figure out what works for you, period. And it's your
Yep.
responsibility, because this is the only body you're getting, at least this time around. Right.
That's
So
right.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that the way you start. So you start with the cleanse, and then it goes into keep going, the cleanse, and
Yeah,
then,
so the first 3 weeks are the cleanse, where and it's nothing weird. Like, for the first 3 weeks, you are going to be eating food. You're not going to just be drinking, warm water and maple syrup or whatever these weird things are. It's nothing like that. It is going to be food, but and the first week, I would say, is the toughest of the cleanse, just in that it's just because it's the first week, and if you've never done anything like that, then it is tough. But there are no calorie restrictions, there's no meal restrictions. You eat actual real food the entire time. The first 3 weeks of the cleanse, the first week is the toughest. Then week 2 we add stuff back in, week 3 we add more stuff back in, and then every week for the remaining 9 weeks of the program, we focus on a different menu. So 1 week it would be vegan week, just to see. I'm
sure.
not saying you have to go vegan, you have to eat that way forever, but just try it for this week and see how you feel. And then the next week it's a Mediterranean themed diet, and it's like, this is another way that people eat, right? Try this and see how you feel. And then another week we focus all on Ayurvedic eating. And so, just
Oh,
as a way, again, to introduce people to all the different types and kinds of and ways of eating, and all the different foods that are out there with variety, so that people really start to learn what makes them feel good and what makes them feel bad. I'll tell you, I have done, back in my 45 years, and I have an exercise and sports science degree, and I was one
oh,
of those girls with the Shape magazine and cutting out all of the, like, ab blast for the summer and sticking it up on my fridge, and never feeling like I could ever look like them. And I've tried all the diets too. I've done South Beach and Atkins. I mean, I've done the little litmus test to see if I'm in ketosis and all of that
oh,
crazy stuff. And the thing is that for me, none of that was transferable into real life. And all of it was so restrictive, and none of it made me feel better. Yes, for the time that I was doing it, sure, I lost weight. And people will lose weight on evolution as well. Everyone that's gone through it has lost at least 10 pounds or more in the 12 weeks that we're doing this. So yes, you will, but with those other diets like South Beach and Atkins and all of that kind of stuff, I didn't feel better. But with this program, you really do learn and discover how food affects you. So that then it's not a matter of like, oh, I'm on a diet, I can't have that. It's like, I don't even want that because I feel so bad when I eat it. not because of I feel so bad with guilt because I've eaten the Snickers bar or the blue cheese, you know, or the steak or the whatever your thing is. It's not, I feel bad when I eat it because I berate myself with guilt. It's, I feel bad when I eat it because I'm bloated, I don't sleep, I'm congested, my skin gets itchy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is invaluable information. I mean, it really is. And that's part of I mean, I know I talk a lot about intuitive eating in my group, and it's, if you're really honest with yourself, right? It's like, you know, certain foods make you feel better than others if you really are paying attention and in touch with your body, right? And it's like, but at the same time, you know, like for me, like I know ice cream makes me feel terrible. It gives me the worst stomach ache in the world, but I still eat it occasionally,
Right.
because I like the way it tastes. And I know, I know how I'm going to feel. And I also trust that I'm not going to go crazy with it because I don't want to feel terrible. But at the same time, I don't have to tell myself no, because I know I'll stop because of the knowledge I have and the trust I have in myself and my body to do what makes me feel good, because that's what I'm all about. It's like, I'm a feel good junkie. I want to feel good. It's like, that's it. And
exactly.
So this sounds like a great way to, you know, put yourself in a position to be able to try all these things. You don't have to figure it out because you figured it out for them. You know, you're offering them all these options that are out there, and they can figure out through this program what works for their body. I love that. I love that it's not like a hard, because I don't like assigning things to people. I don't like assigning workouts or assigning diets. It's like, you have to figure out what movement and what food feels good for your body, and what thoughts and beliefs make you feel good about yourself. So it's all connected.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I love that.
Totally. It's all connected. So there's a lot, you know, every week there's a theme for the self-inquiry. There is a workbook that comes along with it with questions and things like that. The workout, there are, you know, we talk about steps and we talk about minutes of movement a week, but how you get those minutes in and how you choose to do that is entirely up to you. I do post 3 new workouts every week that you can do, or do something else, like, you know, that's entirely up to you. And then as far as the eating goes, every week there is a theme, like I mentioned, vegan and Mediterranean. And every week there is a full week of menu, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks with a shopping list and all of the menus. So it really can be a no-brainer. And then from there, you can keep that and keep reusing it. You can take your favorite recipes and mix and match them. Like there's 2 or 3 menus or dishes from the program that my husband and I eat on a weekly basis.
I love
they're
that.
they're just that good. It's and easy, and
send me the recipes.
I will. I can. Yeah, for sure. But and I'm going to start on my social media channels beginning next week. As soon as this challenge ends, every Monday there's going to be a mantra or a meditation or something that I'll post. On Wednesdays, there's going to be a workout that I'll post. And on Friday, it'll be something related to food. Sometimes a recipe, sometimes like, hey, all the benefits of mint or something. I don't know. But like, you know, it'll be different every week. So that's going to be happening on my social media channel
cool.
over on Instagram. So, you know, if people want to check that out to get to know me a little bit too, that would be
absolutely
great.
Well, God, I got to tell you, your program sounds awesome. I have to say, it's really very thorough, well thought out, very well rounded, and a great opportunity for people to really get to know themselves, their bodies, and what works for them. I just
Let
really
me add
love. Sure.
One other thing, sorry, about the program is I do want to say is that it is a group program, and so it's not. Sometimes people are either group programs, people are going to love them or they're going to hate them, right? So some people are going to be. It's not a self-study program. So we start all together, and every Sunday there is a group call where we all come together and talk about the week and all of that, and then there is an option to do one-on-one coaching as well.
Okay,
so
cool.
It is not just a like you sign up and then you get these videos and you go through it at your own pace online. It is a guided. I'm in there. You have access to me through Voxer and email the entire time. If you do the one-on-one coaching option, then of course we're talking one-on-one for an hour, but there's the weekly group calls. They're recorded and sent back out. So you really have a lot of support along the way as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just, here's this, good luck, catch you later. No,
right.
I'm in there with you.
Oh, that's cool. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that too.
Yeah.
And I know how powerful, I just know for myself. I mean, I'm all for group programs because you have the added support and accountability and not feeling like you're doing this by yourself. I mean, and you can share what works for each other. I mean, I know
Right.
I've run my own group coaching program and it's absolutely magical. The power of a group of people with the same intention working together towards a common goal of just being healthier, getting more in touch with your body. I mean, it's just powerful. I mean, it really is. So
it absolutely is. And I just love, like, this is something that I've loved being in our group that we're in together, is that everyone just experiences life so differently. And so
yeah,
what I also think is great about it is that you've got everyone going through the same 12 weeks together, but having very different experiences that can help you look at what's going on in your life from a different perspective, or give you
amen.
something to think about and just be like, whoa, I never thought of it like that. And so, yeah, it's a really wonderful way, I think, to go through something. And for anyone who's nervous about it, you're not obligated to share in the group calls. You can just be on there and listen. That is perfectly okay. But you will definitely get a lot about it. So if anyone is interested in it, they can just sign up for and they can read about it on my website, which we'll post the link. But if they're interested after looking at it, or just interested after listening to us talk, they can book a 30-minute free consultation where we'll just talk one-on-one about them specifically and what makes the most sense for
Okay,
them to
cool.
do.
That sounds awesome. We
Yeah.
will definitely do that. I'll put all the deets in and around this, and make sure everybody knows how to, all your social media handles. I'll make sure those are in there as well. But I just wanted to say, you're awesome. I'm so grateful that you came to be in an interview in my community. I know that the ladies are going to get so much out of your story and our conversation. So thanks again for taking the time today to be here with me.
Thank you. You're so welcome. It's my pleasure. And it's been such a pleasure being in this group together and getting to know you. I've absolutely enjoyed it. And I'm so lucky now to count you as a friend.
No, I'm coming to Amsterdam.
Please do it. I want to come to Palm Springs. So yeah.
Well, I got a big old house here, so you can come visit me anytime. So, all right, my dear. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna stop recording, and let me just see where that is. Stop recording here, and thanks again for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure.